A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Okay, quiet. Hey, quiet.
Stood out towards me.
Oh! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
Welcome back, streamers, to another episode where we meticulously plan another one of our special dinner parties. After all, we're famous for our special dinner parties. We continue on our journey through the early alts with Robert Altman's dreamlike Three Women from 1977. All right, so Joey and Lindsey, a little bit of like lore about this show is that at the beginning of each episode, Jason lets me do this like terrible intro. In which I try to make a bad inside joke referencing whatever film we're covering.
Some Penthouse Chicken.
He realizes that it's a small thing. Right. He realizes it's a small thing that gives meaning to my life. So I always like to thank him for that.
You've never once thanked me for that. You just subjected me to it. And
hey, it's our first time, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. They were like, man, that was funny. That was they must do that a lot. I like to think it's some kind of trademark of ours, but I think that's just wishful thinking. There you go. Yeah, one among many. So
just being a bad podcast is really our trademark more than anything else.
Right. Joey, Lindsey, thank you for being our guest today. Jason, would you like to introduce our guest?
Oh, thank you for putting me on the spot, though.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
'Cause I had the Three Ninja joke, and that was basically all I had prepared for this altogether. So, welcome back, Joey and Lindsey. Joey and Lindsey are the writer and director duo of a wonderful film that we saw at the Dallas International Film Festival, however many moons it was ago, called Party People. We fell in love with the film, and we obviously fell in love with them during our subsequent conversation in the lobby of the Dallas Sinopolis. As intimate as was.
It's
where
just
all the
like
best relationships start. I believe.
It's just like the film Brief Encounter. It's exactly like
right. They'll be using Sinopolis. Actually reached out to me, and we'll be using this in an ad campaign. So it's fine.
Perfect.
But yeah, so these are our guests, and that's we'll go with that. How's that all right? That a good enough intro?
Yeah, I loved it. What's new, guys?
What's new? We are moving and shaking. We're working on a couple different projects right now. Lindsey and I have a couple things written. We're about to shoot something down out in Dripping Springs in a month, I think, Lindsey? Or shooting a little...
Yeah, I think we're aiming for June.
Weird, fun, horror proof of concept thing that we're really stoked about. And then we're gearing up for one of two features, hopefully this fall, that we're hoping to shoot. Money and schedules and all the other stuff pending and all that. Otherwise, I don't know. Lindsey, what are we doing? We're
trying to organize the roadshow for Party People. It's taking around to Texas theaters that we know and love. So that'll be hopefully something happening late summer, start of the school year type thing.
We're going to be distributing digitally in August, and it'll be sort of around those dates. We're going to be taking it to a handful of theaters, colleges. We're trying to set up a frat movie show now.
But nothing could go wrong there.
Yeah. As long as we're not liable, we need to really figure this out.
But doing that around Texas and then a little bit in California probably as well. So that's what we're doing. It's true indie filmmaking, even the distribution's indie. So we're sort of, I don't know, we're really excited about it just to get put it in front of more audiences. And I think so many movies right now just drop digitally, and they, even if they're great movies, they kind of get forgotten. And so we're trying to build up something bigger around ours and really connect with people in person more. It is really fun. The festival circuit is great. We did some of that, places like DIFF. And, but a lot of those places you're just working with other filmmakers and you're going in and out really quick. And we're trying to reach out to audiences that don't go to something like a DIFF or don't go to whatever their local festival is. Mm-hmm. And, try to get in front of more faces. So we're doing that now. We're pretty excited for it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, like even at DIFF, it's hard. There's still a separation, right, between the filmmakers and the audience in a sense. Even though you do get some interaction with the Q&A, there's not really the ability. I mean, like I know you guys are around, but again, it's one of those things where some people I feel comfortable coming up to you, or they might, and it's just I think what you guys are doing is really cool, and I think especially for a film like Party People is going to resonate really well.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, right?
And it's
I'm going to try to go to as many of the roadshow screenings as I can, but I'm just going to stand in the corner and be awkward.
Good.
As long as you guys have a rollout
head
bed.
disapprovingly the whole time.
Yes,
the bulbs were better in Dallas.
Just like point at you. Yeah.
No, and it's not that we love the festival. Festivals are great. That's what we came up doing, and we love doing them. It's just there's something about it that is missed between festivals and giant theatrical 5,000 screen, releases, which, only movies with, $20 million marketing budgets can do. There's something in between there that we're trying to sort of, you have your things like Hundreds of Beavers, and there's a lot of like movies that are starting to do this. And it's, I don't know, there's another market out there that I think is more exciting. And you're not competing like at a festival, there's a lot of stuff to see. Nobody gets to see it all. And it's hard not to feel like competitive or some sort of weird way about the festival circuit. And I don't know. This is maybe we just want our own solo spotlight a little bit. That's probably what it is. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Do
think
you think
it's
they
also,
should institute fistfights?
They should.
you know what? I don't hate that idea.
I don't know. I've been very close to that. Sometimes, like standing on Congress during South by, I've definitely felt that at times. So, yeah.
Lindsey, when we spoke like earlier before this recording, I think you guys were talking about your father who went around sort of doing a photography project of taking shots of old theaters.
Yeah. So he, my dad is known for like his little obsessions. He gets hooked on something and then he goes all in for a short amount of time. And this was during lockdown. And so I think he was getting kind of stir crazy, and he started going to nearby small towns and really enjoyed seeing some of the theaters that they had. Some of the architecture was still preserved, some of them were still operational, and he started taking photos and realized, oh, this might be kind of a fun challenge for myself. How many cities or towns can I go to, and how many movie houses can I take photos of? And he got over 250, I believe.
Wow.
So that's
cool.
That's sort of part of what, it's a nice reminder of there's a lot of places out there where you can do something like this. And as people start to be kind of nihilistic about the industry as it stands right now, we're choosing to be very optimistic because, hopefully there's a way where independent filmmakers can maybe even cut out the middleman and start developing relationships directly with theaters, in which case all the better. There needs to be another way for us to make this work. And so we're hoping to try and experiment with that.
Awesome. I one of the reasons I brought that up too is I don't know if you or your dad knows the Japanese photographer Hiroshi Sugimoto. He went around taking photographs of the interior of old theaters and the screens.
Oh, cool. I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to I'll send you a link of his photographs, but that, I mean, when you mentioned that last time, I was reminded of this guy's work too. So yeah, maybe you can pass it along to your dad, and that'll be his next project, is doing the interiors of those theaters.
Yes, absolutely. Got to have a part 2.
I'm looking at some of the work now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep him
incredible.
busy.
This is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I want to add a point to what
really
Lindsey
cool.
was saying about his dad's, and this is sort of it's such a sweet story. And then the not sad side of it, or the side of it is many of the theaters are still like operational, still work and functioning theaters, but a lot of them are like, he was able to find old theater buildings in Texas where there was a theater, but now it's like a CVS or abandoned or and some of them have been just recently revitalized
or for sale.
So there were 250, but they were not all 250 functioning ones. And I think that is important for us to sort of keep in mind, is like, that is what we want to do, is like, there are these tiny, you guys know, like Texas, there's so many tiny little towns. Every day I hear about, I was just talking to somebody recently that they were doing they're going to do a movie over in Lexington. And I was like, didn't know that was a town in Texas. But
you mean Kentucky?
That's what I thought. And he's like, no, Lexington, Texas. But there's so many of these small little towns, and like there are communities there, and there's small audiences. It's not gonna, you're not gonna get you're not gonna get 2 weeks packed theater, but you will get. There are people there, and there are people willing to go support these things. We just got to go do it, and you got to engage with it a little bit. So, and to keep it alive. So, yeah.
Well, more power to you. And I don't know, may the wind be strong in your sails. I don't know, what do sailors like say to people when they go like
that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
sounds good.
Joey, you had said, and I want to make sure I quote you here.
So should we talk about Altman?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that Joey said, and I want to make sure I quote him correctly here, that he is an alt man.
Okay, that sounds that sounds like it'd be taken a lot of weird ways. I'm gonna be careful with that. No, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think Nashville ranks very high, and sort of probably, I don't know if that's in my Letterboxd top 4 or whatever, but like it's very high up there. And I think both Lindsey and I are deeply influenced by him, both as creatives, but also just like film fans. Like, I think he sort of, I think my early intro to him was probably, I don't know if it was Nashville first. It was probably MASH, maybe, or Shortcuts. Shortcuts are probably one of the first ones I saw.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, this guy's doing something different. I'm really enjoying this. And I don't think I totally dug into him until, I'm getting into college, and then after college, and, like all modern film fans get into Paul Thomas Anderson, and then people say Altman influenced him. So you got to go back and got to watch all the Altman. And yeah, I've sort of, I really admire his filmmaking a lot. And they're not all great. I think he has a lot of weak points in his filmography, but I enjoy a lot of it. And I enjoy his constant efforts to, I don't know, subvert himself and try new genres and try new things and experiment. And I read a biography of his a couple of years ago, and I was blown away. I don't think I knew much about him. He was a wild guy, a lot of fun. Possibly problematic at times in his relationships and his many wives, but just such a larger than life sort of character that really seemed to like bring a whole carnival with him whenever he was putting on a show. And I don't know, he seemed to have a sense of humor about who he was and about this industry in a way that I think, I don't know, I think a lot of other filmmakers are talked to with sort of a different type of reverence, a different type of seriousness, or a different type of like, one of the old auteurs and people you really look at and you sort of feel intimidated by. And I don't feel that way with Altman at all. I feel very included, and I feel very in on what he's doing, and feel, I don't know, he seems like he would have been a good guy to get a beer with, I guess is what I'm saying. And I've always just sort of had that relationship with his movies, I think.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have treated Lindsey, not as a female, but as a writer as
Probably
well.
not. Probably not. But
who can say?
Right. Yeah, it's hard. I shouldn't disparage someone who can't defend himself at this point. But just from what I've read, he was not right.
But it's a weird thing to say that and then watch some of these films where I think we're dealing with very strong female characters too.
Right. And again,
Absolutely.
I was not speaking from a female perspective. It really wasn't just more of a screenwriter perspective than anything else.
It's funny that you say that because after watching, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun, but after we watched Three Women, I was like, okay, I know that people overuse this comparison all the time, but this does feel very Lynch to me with the doppelganger of it all, like the fact that it came from a dream in the first place, and also a great guy who was a bit of a womanizer. So there's a connective tissue there. No, but that is what I said to Joey pretty much immediately. There were elements of it that were reminiscent of Mulholland Drive for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think you can miss that, right? I mean, Mulholland Drive and then Persona, I think, are the two big ones that we really kind of draw those parallels to.
Totally.
I feel like Persona is so much on the nose, though. Persona is so much about that. This feels like it has way more. And not to shit on Bergman, but I mean, and I love that film. I'm just fucking this guy was Steve. but this idea of Altman taking his time with Three Women and really kind of opening it up to interpretation, and I know that and also I guess because. Persona has had, decades of time, and also influence. So that now that you look back on it now, it's just, it feels like you're watching an episode of Sprockets and it just feels like, I mean, it's brilliant filmmaking, but it just feels like also there's been so many almost parodies to a sense, and and it's so stark and so, it's shot so beautifully, but so again, just stark and harsh. That when you get to something like Three Women, I understand the connection, but it feels like Altman is playing a different game here. And it really is just as much as we talk about how, even when we talk about Images and how it was kind of a, that horror throwback to Don't Look Now kind of thing. It's just one of those, I just feel like it's another one of those films that it doesn't get talked about enough. Especially the performances from Sissy Spacek and Shelley Duvall, and I see its influence on Mulholland. I guess way more than I see the Persona influence on it.
I just rewatched
Totally.
I just rewatched Persona. It was one that I saw probably back in college, and I didn't remember much of it at all. And I was like, and in my mind, I definitely was confusing several Bergman films together. And I rewatched it in prep thinking oh yeah, it really points towards Persona in relation to Three Women. And it is obvious to see it. And I was talking to Lindsey about it. And I was like, oh, I guess it is obvious when I say it out loud, but they don't feel that similar. They really don't.
Right.
And I think I prefer the American version a lot more. I really I like as you said, I prefer the version that is not nearly on the nose and is not so much about the shifting identities. And I think, it'd been a while since I'd seen Three Women. And then, when you read it and you're like, we were pulling it back up when we watched it a couple weeks ago and pulled it back up and was reading the description and Three Women switch identities after a supernatural event or whatever the descriptor is. And I was like, I don't think that's what this is about.
I was like, did AI generate this?
It didn't feel accurate. And then we watched it and I'm like, that is not a good...
I'm not sure that's how I describe it.
That's not how I would describe this.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I give you the IMDb log line?
Please.
For Three Women? 2 roommates, physical therapist, one a vain woman, and the other an awkward teenager, share an increasingly bizarre relationship.
It's not wrong, but that's not it.
Makes it sound like single white female or something.
Yeah, right. It does.
Right. And that is also another bit of lore of this show is that I always read the IMDb log line for whatever we cover because I want to see how far right?
Yeah.
Or how accurate they are from like the movie that we just watched. I don't know.
That's so
I mean, I just don't know how you would actually describe this film either. I mean, if you had to like put it in a succinct kind of elevator pitch type, like I just don't know how I would do it.
That's the trouble, isn't it? Isn't that the trouble?
Right.
That you can't, because I think I saw several descriptors like psychological thriller, and I'm like, I don't think so. I don't feel that at all.
Certain parts,
but
I certainly did not feel that for most of it.
Unfortunately, it's under the, all my development friends in Hollywood under the very sort of poisonous term of drama, where you're just like, that's not high concept enough, or that means you can't sell it. But no, I don't know.
It's elevated drama.
Yeah.
I guess it's just about three women.
So have you guys seen Images?
No, I haven't.
No.
Yeah, I thought about
No.
watching it because I know people often relate this in sort of a triptych with Images and A Cold Day in the Park.
And
Cold Day in the Park. Yeah.
Park.
Which I've seen Cold Day in the Park, but I've never seen Images. That's a hole in the coverage.
Yeah, well, I would say Images is good. I think Images is better than That Cold Day in the Park. I'm not sure how I really feel about That Cold Day in the Park. It feels a little more like a TV movie than it does, I think, like an Altman film. But Images is really good, and I think Images is a good kind of like connector with this film, or like an interesting sort of companion piece to this film in the way that we deal with those issues of kind of, identity or ego, right? And how those split apart and sort of what we're seeing. I mean, because both films are also very dreamlike in that respect as well.
And female-centric and dealing with, those themes as well. So I think that's another thing that speaks again towards, it's tied to this film, is that, it really is, it's just this kind of like, not lies we tell ourselves, Brock, right? But more like kind of a gaslighting in a way. It's a different type of film, it tilts more towards horror, and again, more of more of an early 70s type of horror, but still kind of in that same breadth of like, female experience and trying to navigate, and in this case, in my opinion, like trauma and then in a different side of way for Images. It's a different sort of experience that this woman's trying to live through, but it's really good, and it's really one of the ones. It's like I said, it's another Altman that doesn't get talked about enough, but I think because it gets overshadowed by the things that came around that were a little bit more popular at the same time. But I think it's one of his. I think it's as far as unsung Altmans go, which you could say almost all of them are. It stands up there.
Yeah, he really did. He's such an interesting. I one of the reasons I admire him so much is such an interesting workman's like career that has these like straight up art pieces like this, but then comes around with MASH, or like the way he started his career with all the TV and Bonanza, and there's like Whirlybirds and all the odd TV that he did. Or not odd. I mean, he was a working guy, and it's so nice to be refreshed. And like, again, I haven't visited one of these Altman films in quite a while, like the dreamy, the artiste Altman. That's really fun to see.
He really took a lot of bites out the. No, sorry, I was just struck when you said that. He really took a lot of bites out of the apple. Is that the saying? Where it's just like someone who's constantly making and just like, I'm going to constantly try something, and they didn't always work, but he just has such a large body of work. It's really quite staggering.
And so many that are just those. You were talking about what genre is this? So many of these are just weirdo. Not feathered fish would be the wrong term, but like I guess you would call them genre bending sort of things where they don't quite sit in there. Like what is Nashville? What would you call that? And I mean, in Long Goodbye, that's more noiry, but it's a lot funnier than any other.
Oh, that's my favorite.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Or California Split. Like, what are these movies? It's a gambling movie, but like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know. Anyways,
I think we said it was a love story, like a platonic, like love story, right? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much too. Like if you look at his filmography, how much it just bounces around, right? I mean, like there is no. He doesn't stay in any one particular genre. I mean, he does the frat boy comedy with O.C. and Stiggs. He does a John Grisham, movie. Not well, but he does a John Grisham movie late in his career, right? I mean, like, and then something like where I think this kind of leads into something that I watched a ton as a kid, which probably says a lot about me. But like, Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, Jimmy Dean, which is a little bit more of a straightforward story, but in the same sense of like, we're still dealing with these kind of senses of loss and identity of who we thought we could be in any given moment. I think it really is. He's amazing, and it's one of the things I think. We've talked about this because we've been going through his filmography, but like, I think I kept thinking that maybe like his later stuff, like his after Shortcuts, which was kind of like, I would say like peak late Altman. He doesn't do anything that's really bad. I mean, I guess Gosford, but he doesn't do anything really necessarily bad. I don't know if they necessarily know, but he did. You like you said, Joey, he has a kind of highs and lows. So he would follow up something with like Dr. T and the Woman, and then immediately come back with Gosford Park. And it's an interesting. It's weird that he kind of. I feel like he gets lumped in with like late era Woody Allen and like where it's a kind of like every other film was good, but not But again, it was also in the late 90s, who cared about Woody Allen except for Woody Allen, and this is obviously all pre nowadays Woody Allen, but like who cared about Woody Allen except for film geeks and
Europeans.
Right.
Shady
and
Europeans.
he did just, I mean, with somebody like Woody, I mean, I haven't checked in a long time because I feel like, again, everything else aside, I still wouldn't have because, man, this is so obnoxious of me to say, but it's just like, I feel like I got it. I feel like I'm like, yeah, I know what you're doing. And that's rude and dismissive as an artist to say that about another artist, but it is, I don't feel like I'm learning much more about him in any one of these or about what he's going to try and do. And I never feel that with Altman. Like each one going in feels like, I don't know, he's going to try something. And as like, we endeavor to work in this fashion where you're working regularly, you're making stuff all the time. Regardless, you're not spending 3 to 5 years to get your perfect little gem. You're trying and being a little messy. And it reminds me, Lindsey and I were talking about this over dinner the other day, like who's the modern Altman? And I mean, they're not the same, but I was thinking like Soderbergh or somebody like him.
I feel like I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
And I just admire him so much.
Joey is constantly saying he just makes all the time, and like that, and it's true, and it's different almost every time. Like I would never say, oh, he makes these kinds of movies. Obviously, he has very particularly iconic movies that people think of when they think of him, but like I think it's hard to categorize him, just like I think it's kind of hard to categorize Altman.
Do you think that Soderbergh has kind of that one or two sort of defining features that we think of, like when we think of Altman? So like when we think of an Altman film, we think of that kind of like roving, floating camera, right? Or we think of the overlapping dialogue. And
I think because of Oceans and Out of Sight, I think those are often like grouped in my head anyway, but I don't know. Joey, what do you think?
I mean, it's unfortunate because not unfortunate, it's a good problem to have. It is probably something like Oceans, which is his most populous one, and it's like the most successful probably by any metric. But then you have something, something like that. If you have Presence. Yeah, but again, I'm trying to, everyone I'm naming, Out of Sight, and I would say that and Oceans are probably the most successful.
I thought you were comparing it to a more different
well, I was going to say something
one.
you could go. I mean, you go like Unsane or
sure.
Just trying to think of like recent. I mean, we loved Black Bag this last year, and that feels more closer to him. But also, he did like I don't know. I even like some like The Keenies or Let Them All Talk. Like he's had a bunch of great ones that are. I mean, I remember getting into a deep argument with somebody over High Flying Bird. I thought it was great, and they were like, "This cinematography's trash." And I'm like, you don't get it. He's trying something here. He's doing something. This is, and I much prefer that too. Granted, most filmmakers don't have that sort of leverage and that sort of power and that sort of access to financing to do that. But when they do, I'm just so much more excited to see that. And the uncategorizability. I do think Altman has a lot more, probably has more Altmanisms than Soderbergh has Soderbergisms, probably. I was thinking a lot about sound this time in Three Women, and just like, I don't know, I'm working on a short right now that I'm sort of putting together, and I just like, I'm so in awe of what Altman did from a sound perspective. A little geeky, but just like all of the overlapping dialogue and the way he's able to like have this awesome just sort of tapestry of language going on. And I remember reading about how much the studios hated this, how much they hated this back in the day, and that it was like him rolling with this band of 20 sound people who are trying to capture all this noise. But it works. For me, it really works, and it gives it a certain, I don't know, authenticity and realness and groundedness that I find lacking in a lot of similar type of films in similar eras, but he's able to get just through sound. But sorry, not to take us on another tangent, but it's what I'm thinking about with him.
No. I mean, he did live kind of a blessed life, I think, in the same way that, I mean, not that it seems, that seems a little dismissive as well, but like, you know, he had a champion in Alan Ladd Jr. at 20th Century that would, you know, bankroll these, because again, but and they bankroll the production, and then when it came time to release them, they would just be like, they'll show in a theater for a week and we don't give a shit. Like, it doesn't matter, right? We'll just throw it away, which is an interesting take. But I guess, you know, in the 70s, when you had the burgeoning era of the blockbuster, it didn't really matter because everyone was making money hand over fist, so you could lose money on some of these things. Whereas Soderbergh just like, I'll make a movie with whatever, and you know, and it doesn't really. I can make a movie for nothing, or I can make a movie for $100 million. You just tell me what you're going to give me, and we'll figure this out. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting that like Altman was able to be so prolific and still kind of be under the radar in a sense where, you know, probably his most profitable film in the 70s was going to be MASH, and just because it was, you know, tied to kind of that type of property, you know, and obviously I know the series came later, but I mean, but the book was still wildly popular, and you had two big stars. So it's interesting, that that was his kind of like blank check moment, and that allowed him to just kind of go from there.
He wrote it for a while.
He was, and he was talking about this film, and you know, he said he went to Fox and was like, you know what? It's going to cost $1.5 million. And they were like, okay, here you go. And he's like, and that's what I made it for, $1.5 million. Right. Just like, yeah, I mean, so, you know, there was also, I think, this thing about Altman where he was kind of like, this is what I need, right? You know, I'm not going to ask for more, but this is what I need, and then I'm going to go off and do it.
Yeah.
Well, when you had Shelley Duvall doing craft services as well as acting as the in the lead, it made it easy, right? You could save money that way.
There you go.
Look, these recipes of convenience, right?
You got 20 minutes.
If you organize them by time, you got 20 minutes,
obsessed.
Right? And sometimes you don't have an onion, so you can use onion powder. It's not the same.
Not many people know
but
that.
Not many people know that. Do we need to talk about the plot of this movie as such?
I guess.
I mean, like, plot.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
I liked it. I mean, I think I prefer a plot like this, where you have no idea where it's going, not in like a mystery way. Again, that's probably why people say it's a mystery, but I think you know, Lindsey and I, when we were writing, that you often get this like piece of advice. You know, you need to indicate, or it's bad advice, but it's, I guess, somewhat good advice. You have to know in the first 5 pages or first 10 pages something where this thing is going. You're pointing towards the end. You're asking the big question: Is the guy going to take the sword to the place and defeat the thing? And you need to ask that pretty early on. Altman does not care about that question at all.
I would argue
Go ahead.
that one of the first things we see is Shelley Duvall helping an elderly person into the pool. And at the very end, I feel like Willie has sort of assumed like this more like grandmother role for the two of them. So I would say, if you wanted to stretch it and say that
thematically, maybe
you could. I don't know that's correct, but maybe.
So I think another way to kind of like put this, I mean, Joey, you know, what you're saying is, well, I had a teacher at Ohio State in the grad program. His name was Lee K. Abbott, and great short story writer. But he said you had to put the trouble up front. Yeah. Right. So like this idea of like what's I mean, you know, what's the trouble? What's the conflict, quote unquote? And he's like, look, the trouble could be something, you know, as simple as I need to go to the post office, right? But it is this kind of thing that then sets the story kind of on its way. And like we do get this image of Shelley Duvall helping the old people in the water, but we also get Sissy Spacek, who is just this kind of like alien in this
little
world.
Idiot alien child.
And I think
just looking at her googly-eyed, like she looks at Shelley Duvall like she's the most elegant, classy woman she's ever met. It's awesome.
Right. And it's this kind of idea of like, okay, how do I become that? Right? Because I think we're meant to understand that Sissy Spacek, Pinky, has no idea like who she is or how to be in this world.
Yeah, she's like a cipher.
That for me is yeah.
It's so
and that
funny
for me is like the trouble part of that.
I totally agree. And it's like you were saying, Joey, it's so funny that it's the person she's trying so hard to emulate is a person that for the first time I saw this, I was like, are we going to find out that she's a ghost? Because everyone's ignoring her the whole time. Shelley Duvall is just talking to herself. Like, I'm like, what is going on? And Sissy Spacek's like, if only I could be like this woman who everybody ignores. Like, it's just a fascinating dynamic to watch.
But it's such a like complicated part of this film too. And I just mean like that it's not what we expect, right? I mean, it complicates that relationship. It complicates how we view these two characters, because if Sissy Spacek is trying to figure out, okay, how do I act or who do I become in this world, and is looking at Shelley Duvall's character, Millie, is like, this is all the things I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to make small talk. I'm supposed to make these recipes or write in a diary. But yes, then this heartbreaking, you know, kind of ironic twist is that nobody pays any attention to her, like at all. at all.
I remember
right.
Which beautiful moments of her like walking down this stairs. I just laughed when she's walking down the stairs in that weird yellow robe with the little hood, and they call her Thoroughly Modern Millie, and they're all just making fun of her, and she's trying to go look sexy, and it just like, it's so tragic.
It's so, and she's always like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't stay for your cookout right now. I've got like things I have to do. And it's like, no one invited you, but I just, I love those moments.
And he's such an interesting,
as devastating.
It is such a great choice to have your lead characters be so weird. They're so odd. There's no straight. Sorry, not gender. There's no straight man in this. They're all odd. They're Sissy's pretty weird.
Right.
Sissy's pretty weird.
None of them are supposed to be the audience surrogate. You know,
you should probably not be any of these people. Like the person you're closest to would be the people at the table making fun of Shelley Duvall walking by, but we're not focused on them. And I'm so happy that we're not there, that none of these three women is normal by any stretch of the imagination. And at first, I think when we first started, I have I'll probably get in trouble for saying this. I don't have a huge Shelley Duvall tolerance. I'm not always her biggest fan. And when it starts in the movie, and we're starting off with her, and she's talking to them, and we're supposed to see her through Sissy Spacek's eyes. And part of me is remembering it, and I'm just like, okay, it's like, I just don't buy this. It's like, I don't find Shelley Duvall cool. Like in the first like 10 minutes, I'm like, she's not cool. She's not interesting. She doesn't seem smart. And then I was a total idiot because I'm like, oh, Robert Altman knows that. He's not trying to tell me that. And it's quickly turns into like, oh, okay, she's a doofus too. She's also like, we're not supposed to take her as this serious, like, the serious person to actually be impressed by. And I don't think I give him enough credit in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And he was like, yeah, he knows that Shelley Duvall's she's an oddball. So
yeah, but I don't know. I always find it like I'm always so intrigued by her look, though, especially in this film more than anything else that she's done. Is that because she is like, she's an oddball, but I mean, she is so striking that I almost feel like for me, it feels like it's so out of place that people aren't paying attention to her because she's such an anomaly in this world that like it just feels like everyone, I mean, at least everyone would be going, and maybe they're just tired of the act, but it's crazy to me at times where I'm just like, I feel like Shelley Duvall should have been a bigger star. Like it felt like man, maybe that Kubrick just broke her in a way that, and I know that she still worked, and I know that she moved into production and did all of the things that really she wanted to do with like fairy tale theater and all of those things after, and she still worked, right? But it feels like Altman was the only person that really truly got Sissy Spacek and how to, I'm not Sissy, but I'm sorry, Shelley Duvall, and how to use her well. Because even when she's ridiculous looking, there's something about her face and the way that he frames her and the way that her hair is cut in this, and I just found it like I can't look away. Like she's so amazing.
And I don't mean, I'm going to backtrack already. I don't mean to criticize her. She.
No, I wasn't trying to be argumentative.
No. I shouldn't be mean to her. But I think it is partially this. You couldn't put her in a lead role in that way. She's too specific. She's striking, but she's too specific of a flavor
she always has the most expressive face on the screen. Yeah. Like, because of just the way her features look, you're sort of like, it is almost like a real life cartoon character.
Popeye.
Like,
That's,
not to reference Popeye, but it's sort of like, okay,
you can't help but do that.
Yeah, it got such an expressive face. Even standing next to other actors with very expressive faces, it's just her features are so fun to look at.
I think Sissy's transformation in this film is also pretty amazing, because I mean, she plays so well young, and then after the suicide attempt, transforms so well into like being kind of this Lolita-esque force in all of three women's lives. I always kind of forget too, like Sissy Spacek just didn't have the career that I think that she should have had either, because I think she's so brilliant.
She's so talented.
Their starting points are really kind of fascinating too, to think about these two. So I mean, Jason, we didn't talk about this when we talked about Brewster McCloud, right? But Brewster McCloud being Shelley Duvall's first acting role, period, right? She was living with an artist in Houston, and these guys from the production crew, right, from Brewster McCloud came to this party that she threw. And then they were like, hey, why don't you come? We got some people who want to buy some of these paintings. Why don't you come, like, bring some by, as a ruse to get her in front of Altman, to then get her into that film, right? Which I just find, and then of course, like, she went on to work, with Altman, more often. But then Sissy Spacek started off in the music industry really, really young, under the name Rainbow with no W, I guess for brevity's sake. I'm just assuming.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And had a song that, like, where she criticized like John Lennon and Yoko Ono for being naked, like on the album cover. But as soon as like sales started to dip, the record label dropped her. And so with Rip Torn's help, she got into the actor studio. And then she kind of went from there and, was in Prime Cut in 72? Is that right? That's when Prime Cut was, right? Yeah. I mean, so like two wildly sort of different, career paths for these two.
Such an interesting.
And yet that also just seems very, that seems very natural to me, because neither of them feel actorly in that way. Like, you don't feel like you're watching, and again, this sounds like an insult, and I mean it as a compliment. You don't feel like you're watching a movie star when you are watching his performances. I'm not like, oh, well, that's Brad Pitt playing someone else. It's like I'm fully bought in to who they are when they appear.
I wouldn't buy a lot of...
And I have to think a lot of that...
Oh,
sorry,
no,
go ahead, Joey.
I was going to say, I wouldn't buy a lot of... If it were a bigger actress, I was listening to... I recently watched Shortcuts maybe a year ago, and listening to Julianne Moore talk about working with Robert Altman. But I don't think I would buy Julianne Moore in this movie at that age. That's a movie star, and she wouldn't. I don't know. She wouldn't end up in where this film takes place, where Three Women takes place, and that neck of the woods is, it's not a glamorous place, and you don't end up there. If you're like her, and so it is to what you're saying, Lindsey. I would not buy Brad Pitt or a lot of people in this world like they would have ended up here. But
yeah. I have to think a lot of that too is probably down to how this film was made, and the fact that they just kind of made it up as they went along. right? Where, Shelley Duvall's, ad-libbing the recipes. Those are all her recipes, and like the diary entries are all hers. And just the way that they're sort of embodying these characters is all really coming from them with, I forget how Altman put it, but is like, he was just kind of there like as their guide, not necessarily like as a director. But that vibe really kind of comes through in this film.
Yeah, I think it contributes to the dreaminess of it all, the sort of like stream of consciousness feeling, for sure.
Can I ask a practical question? Like, what does Sissy Spacek spill on herself when she's prepping for dinner?
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought that those were chocolate cups. I thought that those were desserts, but she said we could fill
I
it
think it's
Thank
like,
you. Okay.
yeah.
She does that. I'm remembering that moment. She does the little
Okay.
like scooping it back into her. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so weird.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I have to
cocktail
say
sauce.
that is one of all my love to those ladies. That's one of the most disgusting looking dinner parties I've ever seen.
but it's so good. But this is so
perfect.
awesome because like yes, because the food is so weirdly important like in this film, and especially to like who Millie thinks she is, right? It's such a performance, right? In this kind of like taking this like mundane task of cooking and trying to make these lowbrow foodstuffs into highbrow cuisine.
But it's all fake ingredients. It's cheese whiz.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Even the
exactly.
wine is like lemon
but also
zest
like
wine and
Exactly.
and it's like Millie is fake too. I mean, again, she's putting on this kind of like front of who she thinks people want her to be. And of course, it's not who they want her to be because they ignore her the whole time. But she thinks that, right? And I mean, you can imagine the kind of magazines that she reads too that tell her like, this is how you host a dinner party, right? This is how you bring people.
This is how you decorate your apartment. This is how you dress, right? You need to have a rollaway bed stored away in case guests come over, or you have all of it
a
is
gentleman caller,
right? All of it's prescriptive, and all of it is again because she, however you want to interpret this, but she grew up with. 7 brothers, right, and a family that didn't know how to deal with, how to raise women, or even know a father that looks over a bed and wonders what's wrong with her. Why isn't she getting up? Why is she, and so this idea of her trying to find herself in it makes it also tragic, right? I mean, and also when she finds herself pregnant, but like, and then still not knowing how to deal with that, and of course she ends up pregnant by Edgar, but. Who does a really cool bottle trick. I think that was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Right. That would have won me over.
I do think that it's funny because we were talking about how there is obviously like a clear metaphor for femininity in that, the idea that you are trying to learn the steps so carefully so that you can perform it, but even then you're somehow doing it wrong. I also think it feels very related to class.
Oh, yeah.
Like the idea that like even
No, for
trying
sure.
to learn how to imitate like people see through it, and it's even trying to learn these steps, you're still not in the club.
When on the rewatch, something I noticed so much, I was like, I never noticed the first time. I was like, they talk about money a lot. Shelley Duvall talks about like it costs this much. It costs this much. If you take this, you can. She talks about taking dance classes down. Like there's a discussion around money. They don't pay much here. The salary's not very high, and like where they end up. I mean, sorry, not to get too like film school or whatever. It's like it's outside of L.A. It's not near where the center of action is. It's way out where you could afford to have a place. It's $50 a month, and they're still sharing one bedroom. The it's not really on the nose, but like the economics are like part and parcel with what is going on here. And yeah, how poor they are, but they're trying to struggle and pretend to be, she's trying to be a 50s housewife material in like the worst place in the world with no money. It's really, yeah.
And attracting men who are constantly developmentally arrested, right? I mean, like, all they give a shit about is shooting guns and riding motorbikes and drinking. There's no ambition.
And it's all the same man. It's competition for one man.
Right.
Right.
And because the doctors that are around are dismissive and don't care at all. Like they pay her no attention whatsoever. Which is another like, and that whole, and again, why she eats at the hospital is because she's trying to.
She pays twice as
right?
much
She's
money
trying
just to eat there, and she doesn't eat anything. She just sits there and
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And they just ignore her. And the one time that we do see a man hit on her, she dismisses it because Pinky's in a coma. Right? The one time at the hospital where that doctor, right? Yeah. And so it's, and there, of course, we start to see the change in these two characters kind of
Millie's
right
becoming Willie.
Anyway,
she's like turning into the nurturer, turning into the caring one. She's had a child now, quote unquote, like had a child in the version of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
Interesting.
So, what do we make of the artwork? This is another thing that I was always been intrigued by, and like, and what Altman because again, I think that's also another thing that separates this film from even like their Altman films, but like just films that are like it. And again, something like Persona or even Mulholland Drive, where you have this kind of just like he focuses on it so much, and it's also a lot of times under a kind of a glaze and a shimmer of water. That I think it's one of the things that always is like I'm always confounded by it, but I'm always like intrigued by it as well.
I don't know.
It feels very much like we're constantly seeing not just the art, but people through what, like, I feel like there are so many shots through that fish tank in their bedroom, like seeing what's going on in there. I'll be honest, I don't know what to make of the artwork, but I found it really unsettling in a way that made me feel primed for this being a more surreal experience than originally it lets on.
It definitely primed me for it. I don't know. I'm sure there's some film analysis out there about like, I don't know, snakes and I don't know, shedding skin or the Ouroboros of time or...
it felt like it was depicting some kind of mythology.
It did.
Like some tale.
Yeah, and she's like drawing, I know in the first one, I think she's drawing a labyrinth maybe. And then like the first shot, she's drawing a labyrinth with these snake men. But I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. Do you guys know? Because I noticed a lot of her other paintings were snake themed and sort of like scales, snakiness. I don't know if that was to relate to, I don't know, the primality of existence or some sort of like baser, less human existence. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like it's all just like a warning, right, from Willie to Millie and Pinky, in the sense of like, and without being able to like, because again, my read on this is that this is, I mean, for me, it's 3 generations of women, and it's what you would tell yourself kind of as you progress, right, and so, and not wanting to interfere in a direct way, or not being able to interfere in a direct way. But that's, I always just took it as like, these are here that, because our characters walk over them. They're clearly aware of them. There's obviously in addition to the snake men, there's kind of warnings about pregnancy and the what horrors of that would occur in this case as well. So it's, I'm always like when I'm watching this, and it's hard to do this in an Altman film anyway, but like just kind of trying to pay attention to all the details that are going on, and specifically when these are coming up, I'm like, okay, what am I trying to get from this? What is he trying to tell me? I don't necessarily know if it's actually something that's specific, or maybe he wants me to do that. But it does just, it's like, it's in a film like this that seems like, well, that seems straightforward, but like that adds just another layer to all of the kind of the etherealness of it all.
I think too that Altman talks about like, if his sort of ideal movie is a painting with music. And so this idea that, he doesn't want to add the hard lines to the painting, that he wants the viewer to come in and add those hard lines to the painting. And I think part of that is just kind of a call to this, like, here's some more artwork, here's some more paintings. Figure out what they mean for you, right? We're gonna have them here, right? We're gonna show them to you, but we're gonna also kind of like move away from them and not really let you sit and like analyze, because we've got 2 hours, right? I mean, you guys all go to art museums. You know that you could spend days in front of the same painting, right, before you come away with anything, or you could come away with 100 different sort of interpretations. And I think that is one of the things I love about this film too, is that there's nothing straightforward about this, right? And I mean, Jason, your read about the generations, I think is great, but I think there's also this like layer of Millie's the only real character, and everyone else is just a kind of like another ego of her, right? Of her kind of like growing process or sort of regressing. And then there's this idea of, okay, we've had men, we don't need them anymore. I think also like in the painting and in the story
We've
as well.
evolved past them.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, we found out what that was about, and you can go now.
I mean, there's a nice little Garden of Eden sort of thing, the snake with the men and the women. That I don't know. That's fascinating. I did.
Yeah.
I will.
Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
My point was going to be on another tangent altogether.
I was.
No, you hang up first. You hang up first.
This is. I feel bad anytime I'm like talking over somebody, so my apologies. But
it's just Joey. It's just Joey. You can.
Just Joey. No, just to your point about everything being up to interpretation. I will say that one of the things that I really enjoyed about watching this is that I think in a lesser movie, everything would seem very clearly tied to theme. But there's a lot of specifics in this that I feel are there because he just liked that and wanted them in there. It's like the little rollaway bed detail of like, okay, here's the rollaway bed for when I need you to be out here. And it's like, what? We spend so much time talking about the rollaway bed, and I don't know why, but it's fun. It's just like a really specific detail that just helps flesh out this world, even though it's kind of a surreal, dreamlike experience. It still feels weirdly grounded throughout everything because there's so many details that are so realized.
And even like, Dodge City is so bizarre, but real and like tactile.
Yes.
Another thing.
Absolutely.
Well, and it exists in between worlds as well, because there's a the miniature golf that's long since been non-functional / a bar / a pool / a weird
shooting
stage
range.
for the shooting range and in a motocross area, and then the noose that Sissy hung herself with.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, so it's this weird wonderland, right? Exactly. It's this weird wonderland that exists that just kind of like encapsulates this entirety of the entire
and the
entire
fact
movie.
that again, it's hard not once you get into like this mindset of it's all a metaphor. It's hard to know what is and what isn't when it's like you're seeing it all. I'm thinking Edgar himself. What his job is? He's a stunt double. He is the backup guy. He's not the eye. He's the image of the guy. He is his own type of doppelganger. The twins at the.
Yeah.
I mean, the twins. I think that one's probably more direct. The twins at the spa that they work with. Yeah.
And I like the idea that Edgar is just like a simulacra. But I think the water too is all sort of, in some way representative of birth or rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because we get then like the birth at the end, which is another like male that doesn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something there too.
What do you guys think of
the twins?
No,
sorry, go ahead, please.
I'll ask a question. The twins.
Yeah. No. I was just gonna like give a like inane bit of trivia that the twins they found like in a diner.
Really?
Like they just stopped for lunch and let's see, how did Altman put it? And our waitress was a cute little girl. And then I looked over and she was helping someone else. And then I realized they were twins and we had to have them in the movie. I'm like, that was it. Like, that was it. So
I love it. And I love that everyone has decided, oh yeah, we hate them. Yeah. Everyone's like, we hate the twins.
Right,
they're perfectly nice.
It's like, we can all agree twins are evil.
Are creepy.
Okay.
Twins. Just watch out. Whenever you see a twin, watch out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's become like a universal truth.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I think right. But I think that's so interesting though, because it seems so inconsequential of the movie itself when it's all put together. Then it seems like I couldn't imagine this movie without them being in it. And it's also the same thing with Shelley ad-libbing the recipes. Like how do you win that scenario when you're letting someone just run with something that seems to be, this needs to be specific. This is so clearly a commentary on this 50s trad wife existence, and like but you just stumbled into it because you're talented and this actress is talented, and you were both on the same page in regards to what this was. I think that seems so like, I don't know, brilliant and dangerous all at the same time.
It is.
I don't know how to wrap my head around it.
I think too, this is sort of a bigger conversation, but it's like with Lindsey and I, when we're trying to make stuff, you're trying to put yourself in an environment where those happy accidents happen, because it's always better than what you would have written. It's always better than what you could have constructed as the things we've written. However, the actual reality of making things is that's not how most things get made, where you got to have approvals from other people. You have a studio. You have somebody who's telling you they read a script and they wanted it XYZ way. I've made movies before where you have an exec producer there on set saying, I don't like the way, like, why are they changing this line? This is the way they wrote it. It's like, what they're saying is better. Like, and they're like, this doesn't have approval. And again, that's like a small thing. And it's usually not that. Usually they'll let you futz around with actual dialogue, but it is the construction of the world itself. Like, usually most modern movies are so tightly constructed around budget, days, scene, et cetera, et cetera. You don't kind of have that room to play where, like, we have this spa, we have this Dodge City. We're going to shoot a little bit here. We're going to shoot a little back here. We have a block and a chunk full of days. And there's a little bit more trust that you're going to find it. Granted, there's the huge downside is if you don't find something interesting, you've got a really messy, unfocused movie.
But the solution is filming a lot.
Yeah, the solution is
filming a lot of
I'm
stuff.
sure there is 10 movies
Yeah.
that are on the cutting room floor of this movie. I'm absolutely sure of it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but probably. I don't think it's...
But I was going to say, like, this film is full of those happy accidents.
The dress?
Right? I mean, so in the dress, yes,
I
was just
love
like, that's
it.
exactly what I was going to bring up, right? So yeah, tell us about the
I
dress.
saw it. I was like...
It just makes me laugh
It was
every
so funny.
time.
The first time it happened, I was definitely like, that's silly. That's stupid. And then every time I was like, that's funnier. It's funnier. It's funnier. It gets funnier with repetition. And of course, I Google it afterwards and are like, oh yeah, it's something that happened. They noticed it and they said, like, let's do that again and again. I don't know if it has anything to do with anything, but we start reading into it. You start reading into the thematic of it. But
It feels like sometimes it's about like falling and making it look like a somersault. It's like, yep, 100%. We meant to do that. And
Yep.
just being able to pivot really quickly.
Yep. But it also plays into Millie's character,
totally.
right? I mean, who tries to present this kind of, prim and perfect. I mean, there's even a scene where, like early on where, Sissy Spacek like gives her a hug or something and she reaches up and fixes her hair, right? Fixes the curl in her hair. Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show like how much she wants to be so prim and perfect, but she gets her dress caught in her car. It's just this idea that he's showing us that these people have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, they're just full of shit. So,
It feels like it's puncturing her every time.
Yeah.
Every time she's like, got this nice skirt, and then just like right into
it. Yeah. And for the record, I trip and fall and play it off all the time.
Good.
Hey.
Pretty much like every day.
You gotta.
Yes. Meant to do that. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else other than just to gush over this over and over again.
I had a couple thoughts.
Go ahead, Joey.
Just a question to you guys.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys, I don't know if you guys do this on your podcast, is there anything you didn't like in this movie?
Oh, we always talk about things we don't like. Yes,
Good.
that's fine. Yeah.
Because I had something.
Well, why don't you go ahead and tell us, Joey, and
I don't know.
we can follow you.
I thought of it because when one of you said, I think Brock, you said he wanted it to be like a painting with music. I do not like the music in this movie very much. There's moments that are good, but I felt it was a little silly at times, and it vacillated between like silly and heavy-handed in a way that I was like, if you were to remake this movie, or if you were to change anything about the movie, I think that is the number one thing I would change personally would be, I don't like the score very much. I think it's, yeah.
I'm with you on that. And apparently, so Altman met the composer at like it was like a celebration for a couple after their wedding. This guy wrote like a song for them, and Altman was friends with the couple, so he was like at this performance, and so the guy played something, and Altman's like, "Hey, I want you to do music for this film that I'm doing because I want like atonal music. And so like I think it was very specific. I mean, for Altman, even though I found it really grating and just like not, it didn't even, I didn't even feel like the mood that it wanted me to feel, right, at all. But yeah, but I mean, it's weird because Altman wanted that, and then he says, I don't understand atonal music, and I still don't understand atonal music, but that's what I wanted. So, but I think that kind of not understanding sort of comes through too in the way that it doesn't feel as effective as it
I think
could.
Atonal music could have been great if it was like, all right, look at Johnny Greenwood, everything he's done with, PTA, like that could be really good.
Yeah.
But what he does here is just, it's a little, to me, it felt like a goofy atonal interpretation of this is a thriller. Like it felt like bad trailer music almost, where it was like, it did not, the composer did not understand like the tonal nuances of what was going on here and just put like, I'm gonna put spooky stuff on it. And like the oboes and the flutes are just like, they weren't for me, but yeah.
Yeah. No.
Which is a lighter
hand
would have been nice.
Yeah. Well, it's such a contrast too with the film like Images, where John Williams did the music for Images. Right, Jason? I'm right, right? Okay,
yes,
And that to me is like so good. I think the music is such a core part of that film and how we sort of engage and how we sort of like latch onto the vibe of that film too. And it's a little surprising that it didn't work. That it didn't work the same way here. I think the movie's too long.
Yeah, it's a little long.
I think it's maybe like 20 minutes too long or so, but
well, he takes the first full hour to kind of lull you to sleep though, right? I mean, like, and I think that's part, I think, not to argue the point. I mean, it's like, does it need to be 2 hours long or over 2 hours long? But I do think that, he meanders quite a bit to kind of like to put you in this state of like, everything's fine here. We're all good. And then once the suicide stuff happens, then it, obviously then you're kind of thrown into, but I mean, honestly, you're actually probably past the hour mark at that point. So this takes a good minute to get started. So you probably could have lost quite a bit of like, we're just going to treat Millie like shit for the first hour of this film.
Dunk on Millie for an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't really love the dream sequence.
The one that's
in the sense of like
20 minutes or so.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because I think that part is a little on the nose. I would almost rather us go into the stillbirth, and then I don't know. It feels like it feels like it's trying to be too mysterious. And I know this was born out of his own dream while his wife was in the hospital, and he was afraid that she wasn't going to make it. I get the imagery, but it doesn't feel. I mean, and I know there's a reason why it doesn't feel like the rest of the film. But I feel like I don't necessarily know if I need that part of it to understand, or to even think that I understand what else is going on. But that to me was like, that's the only part that's like, we're getting a little like almost TV movie-esque here with the way that this is shot and like colored and so
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I mean, well, Sissy Spacek was on the Waltons, right? And so maybe that's where
flashback came from.
There you go.
And a flash forward to like, if these walls could talk. So I don't know.
That felt very like finger on the scale of, when in reading a little bit about the movie, it felt that this is very much like, he did a little bit of psychoanalysis and he's really wants to point that out. And I think I agree with you that could have been like, we all get it. We understand you don't need to hit that as hard. Yeah.
Well, and that feels like Persona to me, right? I mean, that feels like he's trying to then be Persona in that particular sense of like, I'm going to show you these horrific images that are going to flash on the screen or like float across, and then
and then getting back on the bus,
and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
Altman sucks. Like, what? I mean, we should just come out and say it. This is a shit film, and no one should watch it.
or Persona. Yeah. Fuck that movie too.
Right.
If you have one takeaway, please.
Yes. If you're listening out there, what we really want you to know is that Bergman sucks. And then Altman, as the American Bergman, he sucks too.
Just watch the Shailene Woodley Three Women or whatever. That when I searched for the movie to rent it and that came across, I was like, what is this? Just do that. Watch that instead.
Boy. Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I thought
Yep.
we were talking about today, and I've just been
Wow.
frantically
The
googling
observations
things.
just happened to line up perfectly. Yeah.
It's weird, right? I mean, they're basically the same film.
Yeah.
Janice Rule, who played Willie, was a practicing psychotherapist.
That's what I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, like, at this point, she would have been actively working in New York and LA and taking actors and people in the industry as clients, which I think is really funny, right? I mean, it's just a really kind of interesting coincidence for a film like this. But I mean, she has the least to do, but she's really good. I think that,
want more of
she's
her.
often kind of overlooked. Yeah, exactly. Well, and apparently there was a lot more like that she had done or that was like in the script, and they just cut it out. And Altman was like, "No, you don't get it. Like, we just kind of need your presence." And he's like, "You're great, you're fantastic, but like, that's not what this needs, right?" But as
it feels
I mean,
foreboding.
she was,
yeah,
right, yeah.
The fact, I think if we got
that.
more of her, she would seem less enigmatic.
Yeah, exactly. One of the interesting things that I found about this film that I really didn't think about until this was, I mean, Altman was talking about working with cinematographers and working with lighting designs. And he said that he refused to let anyone do like Rembrandt lighting. He's like, I don't want hot lights. I don't want a key light. He goes, I need to be able to just like wander around. And so you need to light for that, right? I don't know where the camera's going to be. And I don't want to have to worry about if I say I'm moving the camera that you then have to relight it. And and of course, then Altman goes on to say, if you're noticing the lighting in a film, the film is either terrible or you're a lighting student. And I was like, well, I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I
but I love a hot take.
Right. Yeah, I know. And I'm just like, wow. But I do. I mean, I think it's interesting how he thinks about sort of that element of the technical side of like, look, I'm going to move around. And so you kind of have to, design this for that in mind.
I mean, if you're going to get a bunch of material, that's the only way to capture it in a timely manner, is like making sure everyone's on the same page. Like we're going to be moving around a lot, and we're going to be getting a lot of stuff, and we can't constantly be resetting. So
this is, and if you're going to be, you're going to let actors improvise this much, you have to have longer takes that you can't cut between, and or your continuity is going to be all over the place. And this does an excellent job of like, there aren't a lot of, I didn't see a lot of continuity errors. It's clean. And so that means they're cutting, and they're doing it from a lot of these things from one take, long take roving cameras. And like, that's really hard to light if you are doing a Hollywood lighting package. And since I don't actually know, did they film this in like Palm Springs or other desert cities or?
I thought it was 29
Palms. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. But
one of the
like, those aren't sets out there. Those aren't sets out there. Like they would have had to use mostly natural lighting and like supplement whatever they had from the sun.
Yeah. They found apparently like Dodge City. They found like half of it, and then they built the rest of it.
Cool.
So like they came across this like rundown kind of old bar, and then built with like a mini golf thing, and then built kind of fixed it up and built it so they could like work there. But the spa that they're in. Yeah, they just like came across like somebody from the crew, right? One of the scouts or whatever was like, I found this place and it's really weird. There's all these like old people like walking in a pool. So yeah, I mean, you have to think, a lot of like natural light, a lot of harsh desert light.
It looks,
too.
Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, I I was looking up I was just plowing through the cinematographer's work earlier, just sort of looking at what he's done previously. And he did some good stuff, but like this is by far the best thing he did. I'm just like really impressed by it. It's very natural and lived in without, like you're saying, it's not showy in that way. There's some compositional showiness that I don't mind. The mirroring, like a lot of like tracking things, seeing Sissy Spacek in a mirror watching. It's a lot of that sort of stuff. But I don't mind it as much as like the lighting itself. Yeah, lighting is not showing, with the exception of the dream sequence. He's mostly playing it where I feel like I'm in this world with these people, and it matches the looseness of the dialogue, the lived-in nature of their relationship and this world. I don't know. It works for me. It works for me a lot. It works for me well.
Yeah. Yeah. And Altman was saying, if, he doesn't, when he's going to edit, he, like you were saying, Joey, with the continuity and sort of the editing, that he's like, this is how we have to light it because I can't edit this other way. Yeah. He was talking about how many like really good, he goes, well, I think I've fired like 3 cinematographers and they were all like world-class cinematographers. He's like, so it's not them. It's just the way that, he wants to work. And, this conversation of, if you light that way, you're not lighting my movie, you're lighting your movie.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm being hired to, sort of make the film. So, yeah, interesting there. I also love.
So, Joey, when you were referencing other good work that the cinematographer did, I'm assuming you were referencing Police Academy 6, City Under Siege.
Well, that was his
right?
other big. That's on his Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
I do think. I think that is what he's best known for, and this is one of those surprising like bits of.
He did
lots of symbolism in that.
Looks like one episode of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. He did. I haven't seen Young Lust, but I'll catch up on it.
Could probably get the idea from the title, though.
But I mean, like, this is like a standout on this guy's resume.
Itself.
It's awesome. But yeah.
He also did Heartbeats.
Sorry,
he did Heartbeats,
Lindsey.
the Andy Kaufman robot movie. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I do love Andy Kaufman. And to close this show, I'm just going to read the full text of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
one of my like favorite bits I think ever that anyone has ever done in the world of comedy is just get up there and read the whole book. And just like let people leave. I mean, that says more about me than it does anything else.
You know what? That's performance art for you, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
And more interesting than most of it.
A man ahead of his time. A man ahead of his time.
Yes.
Gone too soon. Altman talks about like thinking about the audience as like peeping toms. One reason that his camera is always kind of moving. He's like, I want people to, as they're watching this, I want them to think that, oh wait, I'm not supposed to be watching this. And he talked about how, like, how can he try to get people to move their head, as they're watching the film, sort of like, what else can you see what's going on? Like, there's a great scene in this where Pinky is asked to eat lunch with 2 other, spa attendants. And she's like, well, I'm supposed to meet Millie for lunch. And she goes into the cafeteria and Millie's at the table with all the men. And she goes to get in line. And like, we're just kind of like, sat there with this image where both of them are in focus, right? We've got so much kind of in focus in that image. And we see the kind of awkwardness of both of them at the same time, right? The awkwardness of Pinky wondering like, what do I do? Where do I go? And the awkwardness of Millie talking when no one's paying attention to her at that table. And I think to me, like, that's just one of, I think, like the better composition shots in this film.
Great.
And what it like lets me see kind of the whole time.
And I love that you're talking about him and the way that he shot this movie. I remember that scene in particular. I remember like seeing it and like it kind of tracks him across. She goes up. She asks for something weird, like
she asked what a French dip sandwich
is. That's right,
is.
a French dip.
Yeah.
Again, another weird food thing. But like I think a lesser movie, like it does a nice little tracking shot, and she's just going through. She asks for it. Now I can remember clearly exactly what we're talking about. She's in focus over there, but I think the way he shot it, he just gets it all. I don't need any more than that because he's so good with sound. I know what's happening. I don't need the like shot of the dirty over the shoulder of Pinky on the lunch lady telling what a French dip. Reverse on Pinky saying, no, I'll take the other thing. I'll get the melon. And then like back and forth. And like, it would have been like 3 setups to get that. And I was like, Mom was like, I don't need it. It's all texture. It's all part of it. I'm going to trust that this is beautiful enough. You don't need to see standard coverage for it. And we'll get what we want from it. And it takes a fraction of the time. So you can move a lot quicker. And like, I don't know, that's good. Excellent point on that one, on that shot in particular. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's evidence of the fact that like if the emotional truth is there, we don't even need to understand what people are saying. We're there.
Yep.
Like we get the dynamic of the scene.
Yep.
And like that's something that he's very good at.
And this all kind of goes back to a point, too, that Joey said about how kind of structured and constructed and controlled like kind of modern films are, or at least appear to be, right? Because because it seems like, again, like maybe that modern film would have, right, that shot reverse shot, right, rather than just kind of letting us kind of sit there in that moment.
I think that something that we have talked about a lot with audiences, I think, did Mario tell us this, Joey?
I don't know,
When
maybe.
he was saying that, people are stupid, audiences are genius. Like, in terms of like getting notes and things like that, it's like individuals, that's one thing, but when everyone is kind of in a space together, you can give them more credit than a lot of filmmakers do, I think. Like, people intuit a lot more than I think some executives think they do. And so they feel the need to like spoon feed in certain ways.
Yeah.
And that's as we've gone through this. I think we do this a lot with most of the directors, but like as we've gone through Altman in particular, it's one of those things we've always kind of like would love to be able to turn back the clock and to be sitting in an opening night theater watching three women with a kind of knowledgeable audience and just seeing how this washes over. For MASH, it was one of those ones where it's like no one's seen anything like this in regards to overlapping dialogue or, us listening more to the, the extras than the actual main cast. But in these types of films where you are just kind of sitting there, I would imagine in like, because again, you don't have a synopsis, right? Or if you have a synopsis, it's completely terrible. The trailer for this, who the hell knows how they marketed this in the first place, right? So either you're extremely pissed off that you're not seeing a single white female, or you're or you're just enthralled. But I mean, like that first moment, like when Sissy decides to commit suicide. And then that heel turn, it's so I can't imagine like what it would have been like just kind of walking out and having those conversations after this movie was over, absolutely not knowing anything about the movie whatsoever. And of course, by this time Altman, so maybe it is a little bit more knowledgeable of the crowd, but still, it had to have been amazing.
Where does
just the two of us, it was really fun to rewatch because I hadn't seen it in a very long time, and just. You're right. When you were talking about the first hour lulling you into a sense of like, okay, I feel like I got this. And then it just like completely turns everything on its head.
And I was just going to say, like, even if you know Altman, even if you've seen the other films, you're still going to be surprised. You're still going to be shocked by this film because this isn't OC Instincts. This isn't Thieves Like Us, right? This isn't any of those. You're just kind of like, what the fuck did I just watch when you walk out of there, right? And hopefully you like turn to whoever you're with and you're like, what the fuck did we just watch, right? So, talk to me about this. Because it has to be, I mean, it would have had to have been such a conversation starter, regardless of how well it did or didn't do at the box office.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite film-going experiences, to be honest, is when you see something with other people, and even if it is not hitting in the sense of we all loved it, sometimes that is more fun. You walk out and like people are like, well, I really responded to this, and you're like, I thought that was bullshit. Like it I don't know. There's value in that, obviously.
Yeah.
And it can't not be that this was universally. I did not. This normally I do, but I did not see a lot of like initial reactions to this. But this cannot have been like universally loved. I know it was at Cannes, right? Yeah. And it did. So I mean, I think maybe that helps like prime the pump a little bit from like, oh, we should like this movie because it was at Cannes and like it won all these awards.
Most critics liked it.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, Siskel hated it, but like everyone else loved it.
Which
is weird. Which is well. Look, hey, let's give Siskel a break here. Okay. I know that everybody's an Ebert household, and that's fine. He gave it 4. He loved it. He gave it 4 stars. So like, but I mean, even
Ebert was like the best. Yeah, Ebert was the best film of '77.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and Siskel was like 2 stars. I didn't enjoy my time there, and it's like, okay.
Right. They
but
both
commercially,
Kingpin, though, so it was
fine. Who doesn't love Kingpin? I'm kidding. I was joking. I was just.
They looked into the TV screen and like begged filmmakers to make more movies like Kingpin. I don't know where you guys stand on Kingpin, but they were like,
"That's the Woody Harrelson
why aren't people doing
the
this?
bowling one."
Yeah. It was the Farrelly
Oh,
brothers.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Prior
Isn't
to
that
Dumb and Dumber.
that's the sequel to Something About Mary? Is that
Yeah.
No, not
Something
quite.
about bowling.
No?
No, I have not seen it
Yeah.
since. I think I
No.
as a kid, I would have been like, I don't know, 9 or 10 when I saw that. So I don't remember. I probably thought it was great then. I probably really liked it.
You were really into
Yeah.
bowling at the time too. So
Well, we'll bring you back on when we do our Farrelly Brothers series as well. So
Oh, perfect.
How has your
which will be coming
if I
soon.
can again, I would love talking about Three Women, but how has the trip through Altman been for you guys? Where does this one rank for you, do you think?
So we decided to do Altman in the 70s rather than trying to take
Yeah,
on
I was gonna say
everything
it'd be
that
a
he
long
did.
one.
So we started with
Yeah.
MASH, and we're going to roll through A Perfect Couple.
Oh, cool.
Starting, so and we bounced around a little bit. We've kind of gone out of where we haven't covered Thieves Like Us yet, or we haven't covered Nashville or Buffalo Bill,
Yeah.
so that we're a little all over the place. I don't know. For me, I like you, Joey. My initial entry. I mean, I'd seen MASH growing up, but like I had also always seen the TV series MASH. So when I came back to it, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I got it, but I was like, to me, like I spent a ton of time, like I said, watching Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean, but I also then like kind of got reintroduced during Shortcuts. So Shortcuts to me was always like the pinnacle of Altman. But I think, in this series, I think he really, like you said, Lindsey, I think my favorite is The Long Goodbye. I think it's the most complete, and like, I think he's utilizing his people the best, and it has everything that you want in an Altman film and the things that you don't, as well, in a sense of like, it's a little bit more straightforward, but it still plays with the genre. Elliot Gould is so great that it's just hard not to fall in love with that film.
Yeah, I mean, I think 100% that's the best one. I think that since we've started this kind of series, I think I have a real soft spot for Brewster McCloud.
Really?
Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because it's so kind of weird. Right. And because we get these sort of what seem like non sequiturs, like with Rene Auberjonois, as his like avian professor, right, slowly turning into some kind of bird. I just think it's a real swing.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and I think he's really trying something different. I think he's really going for it. Even though it was like just after MASH. I mean, so I think there's a soft spot for me with that. Look, I don't think it's as good as this film or as good as Long Goodbye, but there's something kind of endearing about that.
I should rewatch it.
Yeah. And I like these films, like Three Women and like Brewster McCloud, where I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Right, where I don't really, I can't sort of like trace the direct plot, right? Or I can't, there's confusion, and it's kind of like open to me to figure it out. I really enjoy that too, and sort of seeing what he's doing, sort of making these films. And I mean, The Long Goodbye is sort of convoluted just because it's, oh shit, why can't I think of his name? The writer.
Elliot Gould? Oh, no.
Is Raymond Chandler or
Marlowe, right? Yeah.
Yes, Chandler.
Raymond-
Yes,
yeah.
thank
Raymond
you.
Chandler,
Right,
yeah.
and so like Chandler's plots are pretty convoluted to begin with, right?
Yeah, inherently.
Yes. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I come down. But
that was such a good adaptation meets book. Or sorry, not adaptation. Like source material meets adaptation. I find just so impressive with The Long Goodbye, because it's like it's funny and it's weird and it's awkward and it's shaggy and it's I like tonally it's just spot on for me in a way that like so much noir I get a little like when it's too serious and too and it's just I get it, it's serious subject matter, but I get bored quickly. And with Long Goodbye I'm just like, no, I'm in. This is fun. This it has the right amount of I don't know, it's serious and laughing at itself in the same moment that I really quite like from it.
and it helps that it comes out so long after, right? The noir or the private eye is sort of, and now it's become passé, and that's part of I think the charm of that film too. right? Is that it can look back and go, yeah, we know this isn't really a thing anymore, but right? Let's pretend it is. Yeah.
A lot of these films, especially these early Altman films, are just, it just feels like he's kind of slam dunking on the industry as a whole. Like, I mean, like, where, like, I mean, yes, Brewster McCloud is a swing, but it feels like, man, he's like taking like a really serious spin on a Zucker Brothers type comedy in a way that, that I mean, you won't see ever again. And really until he gets back into O.C. and Stiggs, which O.C. and Stiggs doesn't really work, but like, that's his next attempt at taking on, National Lampoon type comedy. But Brewster is so bizarre. But then you talk about something like Images, and again, it feels like had that have not just been fumbled at the release, it feels like this would be something we'd all be talking about, and we'd all be, this would be, some sort of revered horror title that exists in the same breath as, like, said, Don't Look Now, or even The Exorcist, in the sense, even though it's not as visceral as The Exorcist is. But yeah, and then The Long Goodbye again is just, again, taking the piss, but also just kind of slam dunking on all those things that came before it. And then, even California Split, for that matter, is of being, kind of a take on Cincinnati Kid. I can't remember now which one came out earlier than that, but those types of The Sting and just that kind of male camaraderie film as well. That it feels like I know that he's revered, but I don't know if he's revered enough. I don't know if those film. I think that he's revered. I don't know if his film, and then this is a weird thing to say, but I don't. Outside of Nashville, I don't know if people really truly like pull his films back up into the conversation the way that they should.
He's not talked about in the same breath.
I'm not sure versatility is always valued.
Yeah.
True, like,
absolutely.
Like auteur filmmakers, people are like, we kind of want you to have a thing.
Yeah.
But, right.
I mean, that's overly simplistic. I know.
No, but I think
you're pop out of a trash can and correct me. But
I think you're absolutely right, though. Is that this? And I think that kind of goes to Soderbergh's piece, right? I mean, in the same sense of, like, Soderbergh has his major hits, right, and he has his populist films, but like his real true genius lies in kind of the underbelly of the things that people haven't seen. And it's almost, and there's I guess there's nobody who's completist anymore, especially in that sense of like trying to go back and like, oh, well, I liked Ocean's 11. Let's go back and watch Bubble.
Yeah.
In a weird sense, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Really quick, I was just curious, because we haven't talked about it yet, what y'all's take on the birth scene is.
I was going to ask that earlier.
You did mention that it's the which I didn't even think about, the fact that this is like we are losing, another man in a sense, like in this. I hadn't even thought of it that way.
Yeah, and that's kind of my take, is that we find out old Edgar, right, gets killed, which the implication is that the three women then, killed him together. But, I do think so much of this film for me is towards the end of just saying, like, we don't need these guys, right? We've gone through this process and now we don't need them anymore. And so why would we need, I mean, again, not to be crass, but why would we need another one, right? So this kind of, maybe it's not so much like a feminist freedom sort of thing, but it is kind of like, men are just gonna like tie you down anyway. they're kind of like an albatross around your neck here.
Yeah, that the tension of, I will also say that obviously it's a stressful sequence for obvious reasons, but it's so interesting, the tension of having a character tell another character, run and get help, and seeing that person just stand there. I was like, I just like the tension mounting in that simple decision. It's really, really striking.
Yeah. And also, like, speaking of striking, when she gets slapped and the blood stays on her face, I mean, that's like a hard image. That's a tough image to sit with too. Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, I turned to Joey when you see Shelley Duvall's face when she's walking out of the room, sort of backlit a little bit. I was like, yeah, you can see like how she ended up in one of the most popular horror movies of all time.
That shot,
really.
that whole sequence and shot is incredible. It's so good. And I was like, that's the best, to give her props, it's the best best acting Shelley Duvall has ever done is that scene right there. Shelley Duvall's ever done is that. It's awesome. It's so good and impactful. And I think I had heard that. So I guess is the implication that they killed him? I assume it was because it is, but I all that's said is that he like dies because he was careful with guns, or what was? Yeah.
Yeah, there was something with the idea that he was shot on the gun range, right?
Okay.
And that it was surprising that he was dead because he was like
he dies off screen. We never see it.
Sort of accident.
He dies presumably in the same moment the baby
he
dies, presumably like in time sequence on the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think says something else that he doesn't get like a death scene either.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that it happens off screen and it's just kind of like, we don't need to see this.
I read that scene a little bit as kind of also the futility of Millie's kind of journey, in the sense of like trying to do what is proper and right, and this idea that it's still going to end up in tragedy, and it's still not going to fulfill you in the ways that that you think that you're being taught that it's going to do. So just like everything else she does in her life, it's just a matter. It's another thing that is going to end up betraying her at some point. So. Yeah, I mean, I also again, as I got really heavily invested in the idea that they're all the same person, I felt like Sissy Spacek, like when Millie is talking to Pinky about going to get help, I kind of read that as there was something that clearly happens in an Edgar situation when Pinky exists, right? When Pinky is as the main character, and that Millie is desperately trying to tell her to go get help, to go and take care of yourself, to go and tell somebody what's happened to you, and that she just can't do it. And she's kind of horrified by the implications of what may happen because of what Edgar did to her, which could be in a matter of, a birth, or, something that's, the repercussions of that act. I don't know. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, for sure.
What did you think, Lindsey?
I will say that in that moment, I did find it kind of striking. Like my heart was with Millie more than the mother who had just lost her baby. I think because, I mean, obviously we've been with her a bit more than we've been with Willie, who has kind of been haunting the movie essentially. But to your point, it's very sad. She is constantly ending up with these messes on her hands, and she's trying to do everything that she's supposed to do. And she's getting, in some ways it feels like she's interpreting that as I am getting it wrong. I'm doing this all wrong. Like, and that that part definitely made me a little emotional. And it's interesting you say that about the Sissy Spacek character, because I wasn't sure what to think about her not going to get help. To me, more than anything, it's maybe an exploration of people don't always behave in understandable ways in terms of like traumatic events. When you'll hear about something horrible happening and be like, well, if I was there, I would have, and
Right.
it's like no one knows what they would do in these situations, and I think that's, to me, that's what struck me about that decision.
Yeah, even if it is sort of taking care of yourself, right? That is still one of those things that, when are people ready to talk about that terrible thing that happened to them, right? And who are we to tell them when to do it? Going back to something you said earlier, like way earlier, this does feel, and I think a lot of ways, like a kind of interpretation of modern femininity. Right. I mean, this idea, I think, of Millie being so upset, with this idea of I keep trying and I keep getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Is sort of what's being dictated to her by the world around her, not necessarily, how she maybe really does feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's played for laughs up until that point, I think, of like her getting it wrong. Like it's kind of funny. And then it gets darker and darker as we progress.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always, she's trying to do what everyone tells her. And then And then they tell her, no, don't do it like that. Do it this other way. And there's just like no winning for her, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Absolutely. But the other. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say the only winning seems to be the ending moment. The only moment she seems fulfilled and seems happy and not even happy, just seems competent is at the end. She's assumed Willie's whole costume, and you're like, oh, now you're actualized. You're like a full person now. You're like, you are. I don't know. I guess the moral is like radical feminist separatism. Like, just go off and live in a commune. You're going to be a lot happier. And I think Altman would say, like, you should stay clear of me. Go live on your own. You're going to be happier. And he's probably right.
Oh, what is it that Chris? There's that Chris Fleming joke where he's like, yeah, men can't do communes. We turn them into cults. Yeah. Like, women can do community, but men, we turn them into cults.
Yeah. Well, and there's another conversation to be had about power. I mean, as well, within that joke, right? Of turning them into cults because I need to be worshipped, right?
The big man with the gun and the like, Yeah.
And the let me save you from the fake snake and the And the dirt bikes. Got to watch out for dirt bikes.
Oh.
Anything else we need to cover here, guys? Or
I really thank you guys so much for having us, because it was just such a nice rewatch of like it's a really good movie, and there's just so many little pieces I really enjoyed throughout the whole thing. There's I don't know, I really liked a lot of the secondary and tertiary actors. John Cromwell, like when he comes on screen, I'm like, oh my God, it's I knew of John Cromwell, but the second I saw it, I was like, is that James Cromwell? No, he's not that old. And looked and was like, oh, it's his dad, of course. He's awesome.
It's dad.
The doctor that looks like there was the one weird doctor in there. I thought he was gonna play a bigger part. He looks like Danny Houston.
Oh, Dr. Moss.
He doctor in the rehab clinic early on.
Yeah, I think that's Dr. Moss.
Like, it looks like Danny Houston. I was like, oh my God. And I thought it was him. Not old enough. More doppelgangers. Colors. I love the color in this movie is incredible. Yeah. All the like costuming's great. The yellows, the pinks, the like Millie's whole world. It's so well done. Without feeling overdone. It did not feel overdone. It felt proper. It felt grounded and realistic without overdoing it. I don't know. Great movie.
Altman is so good at like the sort of background players as well, right? I mean, like, again, bringing in John Cromwell, the doctor at the hospital who hits on Millie was a heavyweight boxer, a former heavyweight boxer. I mean, just like like he just finds these guys, right? And just knows where to put them, right? Knows what role to put them in. I'm sorry, Lindsey.
Oh, no. You were talking about the colors, and I was like, yeah, it really was effective, especially in her apartment. The idea of like, it's very cute, but it's also kind of little girl-ish. Yeah. But then you have that bumping up against this, okay, well, when I bring a man back here, you're going to sleep. Like, it's clearly like these two expectations clashing constantly. But I thought the fact that we were constantly seeing like ruffles and diaries and things that felt very like, very, very childish. Yeah. I was like, it was fun to see that, I guess I'll say. Yeah, it was fun.
He does a really like interesting job of balancing the kind of humor with this, not horror, but just sort of uncomfortableness, right? Or sadness that's in a film like this.
I find this, I was going to say, I was on rewatch, like, again, when I asked about, like, where does this rank for you on the Altman, like, this shot up my list quite a bit, getting to rewatch it. Like, I think I put this above, not that it's all about ranking, but, like, I find this much funnier, weirdly, than, like, MASH. I think it's funnier. I think it is like, it's a different type of of humor, obviously, and MASH is what it is. But like, I think I much prefer a film like this to that. I wouldn't put it above my like, your Shortcuts or Nashville's for me, but like this would like jumped up the list quite a bit. And I don't know. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's out of the realm of most people, the way they would think about it either. Yeah, I mean, but I agree with you. I think this is funnier in a much less direct way than MASH is funny. And then of course, I think MASH loses steam. And we've talked about this as well. But MASH loses steam as soon as it hits the football section, and then which is indicative of mistakes you make. And as you start your film career. I mean, it's easy to make, right? I mean, it's easy to have that big set piece and then kind of fumble, not to use the vernacular, but have the execution of all of that.
Yeah, never include a football game in your war film.
No, it should be a volleyball
There it
game,
is, yeah.
obviously.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Slow motion.
Yeah.
Just
in
Donald
jeans.
Sutherland and Elliot Gould topless. Playing volleyball.
Playing
Look,
volleyball.
I wasn't
Exactly.
in it.
No,
Exactly the same.
No one in their right mind would. And Tom Skerritt
Yes.
again. What a smoke show
Lindsey's
Tom
wearing her,
Skerritt was. I'm sorry, not to be like.
Lindsey's wearing her Donald Sutherland shirt.
I am wearing my Clute
her
shirt.
Donald Sutherland shirt.
Okay, nice.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, wow. God, see another. I mean, back in the
They don't make them like they used to.
the days when like Donald Sutherland could be like your leading man, and you're just like, and I still think then like there's hope for me. Right? That's just,
I do miss. Not to start like a tangent or something, but I do miss interesting faces. I feel like I don't know. We like need those, and I feel like nowadays we're just getting fewer and fewer of them.
Yeah. I was going to make a clavicular joke, but I'm not really sure how to make
No.
that
I'll just
joke, 'cause-
simply say, as a millennial, that's none of my business. And I won't be learning any more about that man. I will continue to ignore him.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to make jokes because I really don't know any more than that.
I think that's for the best. I think that's for the best.
Oh, absolutely.
We're happier for it,
Absolutely.
I think. Yeah.
We're all better people for it as well.
Yeah.
Look, I could keep talking to you guys. We could keep talking to you guys all day long. But I want to make sure that you're able to go and have a rest of an enjoyable, relaxing Sunday. Because I imagine talking to us has been incredibly stressful.
I know,
I'm
been so
kidding, I'm
combative.
kidding.
Right.
I know. Well, listen, don't start with me.
Listen.
No. I would lose that fight, and I would lose that fight happily. It's fine. So, don't worry about it. But thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for
This
coming
was
on
such
to
a
talk to
blast.
us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love talking to you. We love the insight that only you two can bring. And we're excited to, and I don't want to spoil it, but we're excited to see you in a couple weeks.
That's right.
As well.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
Yes. Yeah, that too will be a blast. Jason, anything else we need to add?
No, I think we're good.
No? Okay. Again, Joey, Lindsey, thank you so much. And to all of you out there listening, thank you for listening.
And keep screaming.
Thanks, guys.
You don't not say it just because we have guests, right?
It's okay.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time,